All right, so let's talk fantasy football, and we're in a couple leagues together. I am a big proponent of not giving away my secrets, at least not yet. Not until I'm making tons of money doing this am I going to give away my secrets. So in order to not give away my secrets, we're going to do pros and cons. We're each just going to take turns, like a debate, just running down this list on who like what is the pro of drafting this person, what's the con of drafting this person. We're going to take the debate no matter what. If we get pro or con, that's what we're going to do. So I'm gonna let Tom start off, and you do the pro of drafting Christian McCaffrey.
His rookie year, I won the league because I knew that Christian McCaffrey was going to ball. And he did.
Let's just say other fantasy players didn't know his value.
Oh, yeah.
And let him slip into the second round.
Got him in the second round. Christian McCaffrey, you want a pro? Are you kidding me? Come on. He does everything. And the one concern when he came into the league was, he's too small. Jesus Christ. He put on all muscle. I don't know how many pounds of muscle, but it's all muscle. He's fast. He's got hands. I liked him because his rookie year he led the Panthers in targets, and I like targets when I'm playing fantasy football. I like the fact that you're trying to get him the ball. You try to get this guy the ball, he's gonna do all right. With Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback, he's still gonna get those dink and dunks. He's gonna get the ball in his hands, and once he gets the ball in his hands, you got fantasy points. Very simple. You got a con on this man?
It's really hard to get a con starting off at number one, but I have to come up with something. The con is it's a new offense, and the Panthers are not going to be a good football team. And they weren't a good football team last year, and he still thrived. But this is going to be a new offense, and he is going to be relied upon so much more. And there's not even a down the field threat really with Teddy Bridgewater being your quarterback. Their offensive line is average at best. Their defense is going to be terrible. That could be good as far as him getting a lot of receptions and stuff like that. But the one thing that actually could be scary of drafting Christian McCaffrey first is, how many times are you going to get number one overall when it comes to points for a running back? It's almost that cycle. You just feel like it has to break at some point. B, you kind of feel like they're going to save him until they're good again. They paid him a lot of money. They don't want him breaking down, and he had over 300 touches last year, and that's just a lot of mileage, and you want to at least lengthen his career, so if they do have a chance to have a run at it later on, he's going to be ready to go.
I would say, the con is that if they're going to tank for Trevor Lawrence, then there's no way that he can put up the numbers that he used to. I don't think they're in tank mode. I think the fact that they drafted that friggin' run stopper from Auburn, he's kind of win now. He's a win now draft pick.
Right, and
that's the debate. All the analysts are saying, the Panthers are going to get the number one overall pick or one or two. I don't think so. I think they're kind of middle of the road.
Right, like they're not terrible. No, I don't think they'll make the playoffs. Definitely
tough division. I mean,
right. They're in a tough division. They play some pretty hard games throughout their schedule, but they're not the Jets. The Jets are going to be bad. The Jaguars, I feel like, are going to be bad.
I got the Jags first.
There are a lot of teams that are going to be competing for that terrible, like the worst season in 2020 season, and I don't think the Panthers are that bad.
You can't be that bad when you have Christian McCaffrey on your team. You just can't. Right. I should shut my mouth because I got Saquon Barkley. We are that bad.
So. All right. So I was going to say, speaking of Saquon Barkley, this ADP, this is an ADP from Fantasy Pros. So this isn't something I made up. This is straight from Fantasy Pros. But Ezekiel Elliott is ranked number 2, and I'll take the pro for Ezekiel Elliott is this year he's not suspended, he's not coming off a contract holdout, he's going to be in camp just as long as everybody else, and it seems like he's grown into his role, and Dak Prescott isn't just a a game manager anymore as a quarterback. So he actually is a viable threat that will open up holes for Ezekiel Elliott, and he'll actually have a chance to shine. He was the number one running back 3 years ago, and I think he can actually get back to that point to where he is one of the safest draft picks this year as a running back.
He is. They have a new coach. I don't think that's going to affect the run game much. I mean, Jason Garrett loved to run the ball. I don't see McCarthy getting away from that. If it's not broke, don't fix it. It's hard to come up with a con for this because the Cowboys still have that offensive line. I think Dak has improved every year, so he's just going to get better. The passing game is going to open up a lot of opportunities for Elliott now that you got Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
And Gallup, who is incredibly underrated. I don't even want to talk about him in fantasy because I don't know where to draft him because the numbers don't lie on him. It's very difficult to come up with a con for Ezekiel Elliott. I hate to say it. I had concerns last year. He actually dropped quite a bit in our fantasy drafts last year.
Oh, he did.
Because, is he going to play? Is he going to sit out? And his backup performed just as well because Dallas' offense is built for the run game.
Right. And I would say that's the biggest con is Tony Pollard because he showed all kinds of that
he could put up basically the same numbers.
Right. So and that's the thing too is like if Zeke, and I think he adds a little bit of a different explosion that Zeke, I don't know if he lost a gear or spent too much time partying or having parties in Dallas or whatever, but Zeke is still an explosive athlete. Definitely looks, different than his athletic form is different than how big his body is. He's a huge man that still moves like a gazelle. But Tony Pollard is an explosive running back, and he brings that lightning to Zeke's thunder.
I think, I like the compliment. We'll probably talk about this a little later, but I think Pollard succeeded the way that Philip Lindsay succeeded. I think that defenses slept on him. It's like, it's not Zeke. They're not going to run the ball. Yeah, they did, and he's fast, so they got burned. So a con on Ezekiel Elliott, I'm sorry, I can't come up with one. unless he got the coronavirus, I can't come up with one.
Again. Well, yeah, I would say the only con would be Tony Pollard and the success that he had, and the same thing with Christian McCaffrey. If just give him more rest, and you paid him a lot of money, you want him to be performing at his optimal level of play for as long as possible, at least throughout this contract, so you can get the most money out of him and just reduce reps, and you have a viable backup that can handle the load. That's the only con I see in fantasy for Ezekiel Elliott. I won't even let you do. I don't know if you can do a con for Saquon, so you can have a pro on Saquon.
I can come up with a con. He plays for the friggin' Giants. That's the con.
There you go. There's your con right there. And that's the unfortunate thing. So I guess we'll start con first with Saquon. Yeah.
Well, there's still that dysfunction that exists. I mean, I'm optimistic because of Jason Garrett as offensive coordinator. I'm optimistic because the offensive line has improved dramatically, but it's still not where it needs to be, so that your running back isn't being met in the backfield, because that's just not fair.
Right.
It's just not fair to the running back.
They still don't have a number one receiver, so he's going to get all of the attention, and he is still in a lot of ways just the scariest running back that's playing football right now.
For the love of God, give him one block. Just kind of chip somebody. Dude, give him something. And he's amazing. He's dynamic, but the Giants haven't done that for him.
Yep, they haven't. And as far as pros are concerned, the pros are that he's Saquon Barkley. And
come on, he's very hard to tackle. His low center of gravity, and just you hit him, and his kind of hips will kind of swivel, and he'll land on his feet and keep going. Like, it's very hard to knock down.
The crazy thing, and I don't know if people have looked at Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is 6'1". He is not a short man. He's built like a running back, but doesn't have the height of most running backs. You see a guy usually, built like that is like Mark Ingram, who he's 5'9". You get Saquon, he's 6'1". He's towering over most receivers.
It's because his legs are so thick that it kind of makes him look stubby and kind of stocky.
Exactly. Like he is a large man with large
Yeah.
legs, and he does not go down easily. He still cuts on a dime. He's the closest thing since Barry Sanders, and poor Barry. I hope Saquon doesn't have the career of Barry Sanders.
That's it's. I knew when Saquon was still at Penn State. The one reason I didn't want the Giants to draft him is because I didn't want to waste his talent because I knew we didn't have the offensive line. Now I want to say we almost have the offensive line, but it's not quite there yet. Still kind of have to upgrade at center and kind of get rid of Nate Solder and some other little things. But it's next year. Next year, I think he'll really break out. He'll be okay this year.
Yeah, that's definitely the hope. All right, so I will come up with a pro for Alvin Kamara, and the pro for Alvin Kamara is that like year in and year out since his rookie year, he has been going above and beyond as far as getting fantasy points. He's going up every year except last year, and last year it was just because of bad luck and injuries. He had a nagging ankle injury all last year, pretty much from like weeks 4 to week 14 it felt like, and he just couldn't find the end zone. Like he was dominating otherwise. He still caught a lot of passes. He still averaged about 100 yards a game, and he's still a dual threat where he catches out the backfield and still gas you to the outside. He played for a high power offense with a really good head coach and dynamic offensive style that they bring to the table, along with one of the smartest quarterbacks to play football in the last. Wow, he's one of the top 5 smartest quarterbacks I would say that's ever played football. So he's in a very balanced offense where they can't key in on him, and he also keys into an important part of the passing game. So he's almost a not lose.
Yeah, I feel like Latavius Murray is a good complement to him, like Mark Ingram was, and I think they both benefit. They both complement each other. Khan, I mean, their offensive line is fantastic. Might be, geez, right up there as best in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
They do like to throw the ball, but they like to throw it to him. So that's an option more so than Latavius Murray. So as far as passing to the running back, it's going to go to Kamara. Yeah, they're going to stretch the field. With who did they just get from the Niners? The Emmanuel Sanders.
Yep.
They improved at tight end. They got drafted Adam Troutman, who is just I see him as an offensive weapon.
Yeah, and Jared Cook is there, and he put up fantastic numbers.
Jared Cook is capable of 200-yard games.
Yes, he is. If the
49ers
didn't knock him out in that one game where it was a shootout, might be having a completely different story.
I think that the only con I would see is if they're throwing to downfield and not giving them the ball. That's as far as targets. I would say targets. I don't know how many targets or carries or touches he's going to get. That I don't know, because I think the Saints have a lot of options. So, I don't think he's going to get 20 carries a game.
No, he's not. Like he might not get 20 carries, but I feel like if you combine the carries with the targets, it will be high. Kamara's never gotten that many carries as far as just running the ball. They always have, whether it's Mark Ingram or Latavius Murray, they always have a running back to come in and relieve Kamara, because he's too important in every other aspect. You can't have him on the field all the time.
He really is. I mean, I think last year was the drop in production was just because of the injury.
Yeah, like injuries and unlucky. He didn't find end zone as much as he did, and of course he started finding end zone at the end of the season when pretty much everyone's in the playoffs and doesn't matter anymore. All right, so Dalvin Cook is number 5. So, what are your pros on Dalvin Cook?
Pro is that he's Dalvin Cook. He's not going to be – he will carry the ball 20 to 25 times. There are some games I think he'll get 30 carries, depending on what they need him to do. Stretching the field, you got Justin Jefferson now, who is I shouldn't have said that name because I want him so bad. Every analyst has him super late in fantasy drafts. I can't wait to get my hands on Justin Jefferson and what he's going to do on that team.
I am writing these notes down so I can remember this when it comes to draft day.
you still got Cracker Magic on the other end. What's his name?
Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean Thielen benefited from playing with Stephon Diggs and having Justin Jefferson. That you really replaced Diggs there. I think it's nothing is going to change for this Vikings team. It's still the same high-powered offense. A big part of that is Dalvin Cook. He's going to put up the same numbers.
Yeah, if I were to say a con with Dalvin Cook is the thing that should be the con is the biggest con for all these running backs is the holdout. He wants more money, and his coaches are telling him he's telling his coaches one thing. His agent is telling the press another thing. Dalvin said he'll be there for training camp. Like his agent is telling everyone that he is not going to be there for training camp. He wants to hold out. He wants a bigger paycheck. We don't know what that bump in pay is going to be or what he's asking for. But most of these running backs, they end up holding out up until the very beginning of the season, starting to 6 weeks into the season.
Remember Le'Veon Bell a couple years ago?
Yeah, exactly. They hold out for the entire season and then get a giant contract for a team that doesn't want them. So who knows what's going to happen with Dalvin Cook? I feel like he finally put a good season together, and you ask for you're going to ask for more money. Is if you put together 2 good seasons, and then you're in a contract year, well, might as well just play good this season, and then you can hold the Vikings ransom or whoever else ransom.
You can hold them ransom now because they don't have a legitimate backup for him, and they have a window of opportunity to own that division. Like that division is kind of weak right now.
The division is
you're in the division with the Packers, and you finally have the Packers kind of on the ropes. So don't mess around. You got to strike.
And that's the thing. Like we could get into this with just fantasy football, but the Packers are the biggest enigma in the NFL right now. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but I think a lot of teams are going to do what the 49ers did, and they're just going to shred their defense, and their offense isn't going to be able to keep up. Anyway, I digress. We're talking fantasy football, not how good the Packers are going to be. All right, so there's Derrick Henry. How good? Actually, let's start off with how bad. You want to talk about how bad Derrick Henry will be, or a con with Derrick Henry? Not how bad he is, but just in his draft position.
A con is because 1 week, he'll run for 20 yards, and then it might be week 5 where he rushes for 200 yards. Like he's that kind of player, and so far he's been that kind of player where it's feast or famine with him. And when he feasts, holy shit!
Yeah, he
feasts like it's unreal. But it's kind of sporadic with him.
And that's the thing. As far as a pro, it seems like whoever's had Derrick Henry, it feels like he is one of those late season game changers. He's literally like a locomotive. Where
I've had him on my bench before, right? And then he puts 40 points on my bench. I'm like, oh shit, I got to put him in. Then he gives me 5 points.
Yeah,
but he had, it's worth having because he will towards the end of the season that he typically does that.
It's towards the end of the season. It seems like everyone else is getting bogged down, and defenses are trying to figure out offenses. And what do you do when people start figuring out your offense? You bash. You go into
a monster. Yeah, you throw a monster at him.
Exactly, and
they can't tackle.
He is a late season monster, and he's that guy that you want on your bench at the end of the season. You don't want him at the beginning of the season.
That's exactly it, because typically he has killed me at the beginning of the season to the point where I have to put him on the bench and wait for the 30, 40 points to show up on my bench. I'm like, okay, he's back, and then you put him in.
Right. He's one of those guys where you need a backup plan if you draft Derrick Henry, because
I want to say for that reason you can't draft him in the first round.
Yeah, and that's the scary part, especially at the beginning of the season, because you don't know what you're going to get, especially because everyone's touting Ryan Tannehill, and you got A.J. Brown on the other side. Who knows what kind of cute little offensive gimmicks they're going to try to do in order to get teams not thinking about Derrick Henry. And it's one of those things where, like, they tried to do that before, and Mariota was terrible, and I think people are going to figure out Ryan Tannehill, and they're going to have to do a lot of coaching in order to get that offense back to where it was. and then they're going to find out like, oh yeah, we have Derrick Henry, just like to do every year. It's like we forgot about him. Let's give him the ball and let him run like 50 times for 200 yards and 4 touchdowns.
I mean, I said this when he was coming into the draft, where his strength is one thing, very difficult to tackle, but just the size of his legs, they're so long, you can't keep stride with him. So
right.
You're right. And that's why he's running for 70, 80 yards, because no one can keep stride with him.
Like, not only can no one keep stride with him, but everything about him is so long. He's 6'3", he has long arms.
He'll stiff arm you, and he'll push you right off.
So. You try to tackle him high, he's just going to shrug you off like you're not there. You try to tackle him low, he's going to stiff arm you. Like we've seen the stiff arm monster. Like,
it was really looking like he was going to march to the Super Bowl.
It did.
Kind of taking the Titans from benching their star quarterback, their number 2 overall draft pick, going to the bench. You go from that to like, oh my God, we can't stop this team. We can't stop this one player. Really.
I would have very much liked that, but it didn't happen because Patrick Mahomes is a monster.
Yeah, that's another story.
All right, so this is I don't want to say anything for anyone who might be listening that might be taking notes that don't know. But what are your pros on one Nick Chubb?
Nick Chubb is I want to say the most underrated running back in the NFL, and I think he has been since day one. He really has it all. He's fast. He's strong. He's got moves. The Browns are still figuring out their offense. Their offensive line never really shaped up the way it was supposed to. I think he's fantastic. I do not fear Kareem Hunt in the least. I never did. He's not going to take Nick Chubb's job away from him. And you can't argue with the numbers that Chubb has put up, in spite of the fact that Mayfield is trying to force the ball to his receivers. He wants to throw the ball. When that doesn't work, you go to old tried and true, and that's Nick Chubb. And he's a first-round pick. He has to be.
That's the thing is Nick Chubb, he's one of those guys that you want to doubt time in and time out, and he just proves you wrong every single time. Of course, you mentioned Kareem Hunt. That's the one con I would have with Nick Chubb is that you have Kareem Hunt on. He has a full season and he has a huge chip to get back to that elite dominant running back that he was before.
Was he though? That's the question. Was he? Because Kansas City put how many guys in there that put up the same numbers? Kansas City, their offense was just so high-powered that they had 2 guys named D. Williams. I didn't know who was who because they were both putting up the same numbers.
Yeah, replaceable.
And I mean, Kansas City, we'll get to Kansas City's running back a little later. But that team is just built for offense. So I don't think Kareem Hunt is that good. Yeah. Whereas Nick Chubb, on his own as a running back, is a legitimately elite running back.
And he is. And like, if he never got injured in college, which is the same thing that happened with Gurley, if he didn't have that injury,
Georgia, man.
Then I know all those Georgia running backs. And what happened to Sony Michel? I don't even know. But the thing is he tried and true every single time. He just gets the job done. And the serious only con with him is if they're going to give the ball to Kareem Hunt and if this offensive line can block for him, if they can hold up, if Baker Mayfield can turn the corner and turn into the quarterback he was supposed to be. And even then, he still succeeds when Baker Mayfield is doing terribly. So he's a hard con.
Well, like I said, it's when that passing game does not work because they're trying to force the ball to 2 superstar wide receivers. When that doesn't work, it's like, all right, let's hand the ball off. And Chubb gets the job done.
Yeah, he does. Okay, so the next running back on this list is Joe Mixon.
The second most underrated running back in the league.
Well,
you want to take pro?
I will take the pro on Mixon. And Mixon has been one of those guys in a couple leagues. I have traded literally peanuts for him because he was underperforming. And, of course, all of a sudden he just starts breaking out because the team knows that he is their best weapon. A.J. Green's not reliable. You got the receivers, the other receivers,
Boyd,
they aren't
yeah,
reliable.
Ross.
Exactly. You got Ross who can't stay healthy.
Tyler Eifert's been injured.
Right. Like Tyler Eifert has been so hurt that he hurt himself off the Bengals, which is difficult. So it's one of those things that is the one guy you have. He is the Saquon Barkley. He is the Christian McCaffrey of the Bengals. And the one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that their offensive line, like they had 2 offensive linemen hurt for the entire season. Not like their number 1 draft pick from last year was hurt, and now he's back. Williams, I forget his first name.
Jonah Williams.
Yeah, Jonah Williams. He was hurt all last year, and now he's back. And
they had, like you said, they had another injury on the offensive line.
Right, their center was injured all year. Now he's back. You got Joe Burrow, which immediately takes the attention off of Joe Mixon, and he's also a dual threat running back. He's one of those guys that will have a year where it's like, where'd this guy come from? Because like they're just putting up crazy offensive numbers, and it's probably a good thing. Their defense can't stop anybody, so they're going to be in shootouts. They're going to be in positions to where he's going to be catching passes out the backfield, screen passes, check downs, everything, and like the whole kit and caboodle. He's going to be catching all those passes.
That's something that, first of all, that's something a rookie quarterback needs. And Joe Burrow is used to having that outlet, that receiving running back.
Again, we'll get to that later. Talk about Kansas City running backs. So, and that's the thing. He's going to be that guy that's just getting all the junkyards, basically.
Well, I kind of insist he's kind of been my secret weapon all these years, Joe Mixon, past 2 years, because people do sleep on him because the Bengals are not a sexy team. They're not known for their offense.
Nope.
But he performs, and he's actually an amazing athlete. And he fell to the Bengals because he had off the field issues in the draft. Otherwise, he wouldn't be on the Bengals. He would have gotten snatched up.
He was a 3rd round pick when he got drafted.
Jesus Christ, was he really?
And if it wasn't for the off the field issues, he dedefinitely would have been a 1st round pick.
He was in the 1st round conversation.
He might have been in like the teens or something like that. He would have been high.
No, I love him. As far as a con, new quarterback, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve there. Tough division. Tough defense. You got to play the Ravens twice a year. You got to play the Steelers twice a year.
The Steelers have the best defense.
Steelers defense almost got them into the playoffs with
single-handedly
with no quarterback. Duck Dodgers, whoever his name was.
The fabulous Duck Dodgers.
So no, that would be the con. You're facing the best defenses. 4 games, you have amazing defenses, minimum. So that would be the only con. But I love Joe Mixon.
So let's talk about Josh Jacobs and what is the pro for the young Raiders running back?
He's fantastic. He's consistent. He fits that offense to a T. Their quarterback play is not great, even though they have. I would see this as a win for Josh Jacobs. Now that you have Henry Ruggs, you figure that's going to stretch the field and create opportunities for him. I think they have an elite tight end in what's his name? Light-skinned kid. Darren Waller.
Yes, Darren Waller.
Stole him last year. He's definitely on my tight end fantasy list. Josh Jacobs, it just works. It just works. He's going to be a Pro Bowler. And he's going to put up amazing numbers. He's only going to get better because he works in that system, and the system's not going to change much other than you have Henry Ruggs stretching the field.
Right. He's one of those guys that's hard to put up a con for, other than the fact that he plays for the dysfunctional Raiders. And, and they're in a tough division, and the Chargers have a really good defense. The Broncos, they're not as good defensively, but their challenge, like up front, their front 7, still really, really good. The Chiefs are there, and the Chiefs have a very underrated defense. They have a lot of expectations going into a new stadium that no one's going to be in, but still new stadium. I think it does. They do have a lot of expectations and growth, and there might be a sophomore slump when it comes to Jacobs, but it's hard to come up with a con. They have a good offensive line. they actually improved on the offense, and they actually improved on the defense. They're going to get one of the best safeties, in my opinion, that was drafted last year, back from a season-ending injury, and this Raider team is very under the radar. But I do think that there are expectations with that, which is why Josh Jacobs could have a sophomore slump. But I'm fishing at straws trying to find bad things. I think he's a value at yeah, especially like if he's at the end of the first round, like that's a value. All right, Aaron Jones. Oh, this is my boy right here. I guess I'll come up with the pros, even though I have a lot of cons for him, but I'll come up with some pros. He was the second highest scoring running back last year, which is insane.
He was, but it just didn't make sense. Like it wasn't supposed to. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, it did. And but this is the thing. He is a multi-tool running back. He's one of those guys. He's almost like a Phillip Lindsay, where as much as you try not to use him, he makes it to where you can't not use him. You have to put him in. When Devontae Adams went down for injury, he had about 25 points a game. He was insane. His numbers were absolutely ridiculous. And it's one of those things where he time in and time out, he shows that he is the number one running back for that team, even though they've tried to just do the dual running back, just give the ball to Aaron Rodgers, let him do his thing. And you got Jamal Williams going out there, and they were doing the dual running back there. He proved that he was better than him. They drafted A.J. Dillon this year, and they're saying that he's going to take over. And Aaron Jones is still going to be the guy. He's still going to be the man because.
Well, that's my con is A.J. Dillon. Because I think A.J. Dillon, is the 20 carry a game running back. It might take, I think it'll take maybe 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks to get there. Maybe it's next season. I don't know. No, I think it's this season. I think A.J. Dillon is that good, where he's the bell cow. And I think that Aaron Jones becomes, I don't want to say gimmick in a demeaning way, but he is versatile. He can do things. But I think he's the gimmick running back. When you want to get cute, you're going to have Aaron Jones in there.
That's the thing. He becomes a Tariq Cohen. He becomes what Alvin Kamara was in his rookie and sophomore season. He's a guy that's versatile. He knows the offense. He has rapport with Rodgers for as long as he's there. Just going back to a pro that I just thought of for Aaron Jones is, I think this year they're really trying to get Aaron Rodgers out the door, and they're trying to change the personality of the Packers. And I really do think that they want to go more run heavy. They want to utilize a lot more of the play action and that system. And I think they're going to run the football more.
Maybe that's why they didn't draft a wide receiver.
I think so.
That's indicative of that. So that very well could be. They might kind of tie Rodgers' hands a little bit.
Yeah, they even did last year. Rodgers didn't have an amazing season, and they still won a lot of games. And he was they kind of turned Rodgers into a game manager. I think partially is because he wasn't happy with how the offense was going, and he had no one to throw the ball to.
There are very few quarterbacks in this game that can actually put a team on their shoulders and carry them. He's one of them. So, I wish they
he is.
So, I just have to say, I have to give that guy credit. I've seen him do it too many times where games they should have lost, and he wills them to victory. That's for another podcast.
All right. So we got like that. That was the top 10 as far as running back. So this is the number 11. This is your favorite running back that doesn't play for the Giants, Miles Sanders.
There was talk, a rumor of Giants drafting him. That would have been a nice 1-2 punch. Penn State punch. Pro, I think the biggest pro, first of all, he is talented. I would have given him a con because the Eagles were kind of using a committee. Like they had just so many running backs, Price, Love, and all these guys. They just were stocking up on these running backs. Now I don't think they're going to use a committee. I think they don't have a committee anymore. Boston Scott it was, because they were all the running backs were on their last legs. Corey Clement.
Is he even there anymore?
I don't know. There's a lot of guys you should have to Google because I don't know if they're still there. They had so many last year and the year before that where the Eagles running backs were, you were rolling the dice because you didn't know if who was going to get the ball, who was going to get 10 touches, who was going to get 2 touches or no touches. It was too sporadic. But this year, I think he's gonna get close to 20, at least 20 touches a game.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna get about 17 carries. He's gonna get
and he's got
7
the
to 10
talent.
targets.
He's got the talent. Like he followed Saquon at Penn State, and he was right. His numbers are fantastic. Like he's got the talent, so that's not the issue. So I mean, I got a lot higher on him once I saw that the Eagles don't have the depth at running back that they used to have. That's a definite pro. Yeah,
that is a definite pro. I think the one thing that is a con is that he was one of those guys that was under the radar last year. He was one of those guys that he was a mid to late season breakout because they were done with the committee and all their running backs got hurt. Jordan Howard, he hurt himself and was like forgotten about. And the Eagles had no one else to rely on but Miles Sanders. And now I think, just like with everything in the NFL, once you game plan for someone, once you are a part of that lineup, now you're thinking about him. It's like, oh, okay, I have to game plan for Miles Sanders. I have to make sure he doesn't beat me. He is going to be one of those players on the chalkboard, on the whiteboard, that you have to make sure that you stop. So I think he's going to get more attention, which could, lessen his production.
I mean, I think that's the essence of the sophomore slump, and I think that's what the sophomore slump is, where you break out, and then, okay, the next year we kind of know what you're about. And then, but I think he's got the talent to adapt to that. So.
Exactly. And speaking of, it's weird, it's not really a sophomore slump, but talk about a guy who broke out officially last year, Austin Eckler. Yeah.
Any secret weapon.
Right. I guess I'll take the pro with Austin Eckler. Is he's definitely a dynamic running back. You used the term earlier when talking about Aaron Jones is a gimmick running back or turning into a gimmick running back. He is turned into the opposite of a gimmick running back. He was the trick pony. He was the guy you brought in to just be that difference in your Melvin Gordon bell cow. Now Gordon is gone, and now he is the number one running back. Will he be able to hold up? I don't know. It's going to be very difficult on a Chargers team that is going to be focused on running the football, and he has to hold up. Wait, was I doing pros or cons for Eckler?
You're doing pros.
I am, because
you can do cons. I have pros. I mean,
I'm about to say nothing I said was a pro. So it felt like it was all con. I don't know if he can hold up to a whole season. And yeah,
I mean, Melvin Gordon, he held out, and Eckler, that was the big question mark. Can Eckler go from gimmick to number one? And he did. And even as the gimmick, he put up kind of ridiculous fantasy numbers as the number 2 running back that you probably drafted in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th round or something like that no one thought of. And he still put up those fantasy numbers. They drafted Joshua Kelly out of UCLA.
Yes.
Who could be a bell cow. He could be. I don't think he will. He's got that potential, but he's definitely going to be a compliment because he's a workhorse. I think he set records at UCLA
He had a fantastic pro day too, a Senior Bowl, I should say. His Senior Bowl was off the charts. He really raised his draft stock. I think they stole him, and they still have Justin Jackson behind Eckler. They have a lot of running backs, and they're going to use a lot of running backs.
And no, the Chargers are their offense is built to run the ball. No one's really been able to stop them. And with Gordon sitting out, Eckler proved that he can put up those same numbers. Your question, can he last the whole season like that? I think so, because they have depth at running
back. All right, that's definitely true. And these are – it's funny, like the last 4 running backs basically, 5 if you want to count Josh Jacobs, all breakout players from last year that just shot up the draft rankings. And this one right here, Kenyon Drake.
Man, I slept. I was this close. I pulled the trigger just too late. As soon as I heard he was going to Arizona, I'm like, I knew what he was going to do there because I knew the talent he had on Miami. But Miami just wasn't built for him. Like that, they weren't built for anyone. They just couldn't get anything going on
Nope.
offense. But I knew the second he went there that he was just going to ball, and he did, and he's going to continue to ball. So, do you want to take pro or con?
It sounds like you just took pro already.
But come on, they got Kyler Murray. Like that just frees up the you as a running back, because the defense, Kyler goes this way, you go that way. I mean, if they really utilize it like Lamar Jackson in college, where he would run with the ball in the running back's kind of breadbasket, and kind of look around and see, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to run with it, or do I want to let him run with it in the opposite direction? It was deadly. So that combination could be absolutely lethal if they use him the way I think they will. You saw what he did last year, and they're only better now with DeAndre Hopkins stretching the field.
The Arizona Cardinals offense in general is really scary. They bring a lot of like power as far as just a lot of flair, and they're going to be very explosive as far as just everything, running backs, receivers. They even have tight ends that are very underrated. Their line got slightly better, but better to the point. And you got Kyler Murray, who's probably he's a top 5 quarterback of this generation, of this, like they're the Patrick Mahomes, there's the Aaron Rodgers. Even if you want to put Tom Brady in that category, he is, I think he's already there in as far as he's good enough to get you over the hump and win you games that you wouldn't be able to win just because he's that good.
They got themselves into some holes last year, and either he brought them back himself, or he came very close to bringing them all the way back from really big deficits.
Yeah.
Kind of, I shouldn't say by himself, but other quarterbacks wouldn't have been able to do what he did. Not only with the speed, but he's got a strong arm.
Yeah, he got a strong arm, and he comes from he has a good football mind. Quick
release. So yeah, he's just so dangerous that the running game, I think that teams are more worried about Kyler taking off with the football than the running back. So right. That creates opportunities.
Like, if I were to say a con about Kenyon Drake is, I think he is more of a product of the system, and you have other running backs in there who can benefit. One of the guys that you used to talk about a lot, especially when it's coming up to this year's draft, was Eno Benjamin.
Yeah, he's so fast.
Right, and you still have oh my gosh, their backup Chase Edmonds.
Chase Edmonds, yeah.
Like, these are guys who can come in and you can plug and play, put them in. Are they as good as Drake? I honestly don't know. I don't know if they're as good as him or not. Chase Edmonds was hurt, along with David Johnson being hurt and just not a good fit. And Kenyon Drake came in and he took that opportunity. If that opportunity is to go away at some point, if he gets a little tweak or if he underperforms, there are people there who are ready to take his job, and their offense is so explosive and dynamic, especially with that quarterback, that he could easily lose his job. And he's even shown he showed flashes in Miami of how good he could have been, and then all of a sudden he's on the bottom of the depth chart. Why? Like, everyone says, they do
suck. Miami.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. Like, he is one of those guys that lost his job to Frank Gore because Frank Gore is Frank Gore, and wherever he goes, he's going to get the most carries because he's usually better than whoever you put in front of him.
Then on that note, why don't we go to the next running back?
So there's Le'Veon Bell, who, like Tom said, Frank Gore is now his backup, and he's one of those guys that he's an enigma. And I'll try to take the pro for him. It's difficult. The Jets are a terrible football team in my opinion. They're not good. If they win one game, there'll be one more game that I think they'll win. Le'Veon Bell, like, for a pro, he's been a workhorse. Like, the whole time he was there, the coach didn't want him there. He's getting overpaid. His offensive line is terrible. Sam Darnold is a question mark as a quarterback. Their defense is nowhere near as good as they were last year because they just lost their best player. There's a lot of question marks with this team, but Le'Veon Bell still performs. Like, he still puts up numbers. He's still a bell cow. He still does his job. And like, no matter what, he's going to get the ball because you're paying him enough money to where you can't not have him on the field. And if he's willing to play, and if he's willing to do well, and he wants to get his incentives, he's going to play well.
No, Le'Veon, it wasn't that long ago where this guy was the gold standard for running backs, and almost like a philosopher's stone or Rosetta Stone to kind of decode other running backs. Because when I was looking at Leonard Fournette and Dalvin Cook in college, I'm comparing them to Le'Veon Bell, and everyone was putting Fournette as the number one. I'm like, Dalvin Cook looks like Le'Veon Bell. His footwork, how he kind of has that little that hesitation once he gets the ball and kind of takes a snapshot of the field and then makes a decision. Like, that's Le'Veon Bell. Where did that go? It went to the friggin' Jets. Then that's the problem. They have still have so many holes in their offensive line. It's criminal for an NFL team to have that many question marks on the offensive line. It was like the Giants a couple years ago. They don't have offensive weapons. Like, who are their wide receivers?
Right.
Sam Darnold. I question. I don't know. I shouldn't say this about an NFL athlete, but I kind of question his love of the game at this point. The way he played last year. Although, I mean, come on, he showed up in a flak jacket or something. But the fact that he wasn't taking care of his body to begin with kind of has me questioning his heart. I just think that the New York Jets situation is such a mess that it's hard for anyone to succeed. And that's why Jamal Adams got on a plane or got on Twitter and then got on a plane to get out of there.
Yeah. I mean, like, the Jets situation is not good. And it's one of those things where I feel bad for a lot of these running backs because it feels like they're always the last ones left, or they're supposed to be the savior of a team that's really bad and they have no help.
If you don't have an offensive line, like O.J. Simpson, say what you will about him, he was an amazing running back. First 2 years in the NFL were a disaster because the Buffalo Bills at that time didn't believe in building an offensive line. They didn't believe in blocking for the run. So you could be the best running back on earth. If you don't have the offensive line, you're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
Their offensive line is just terrible.
You get an offensive line, you do well. That's usually what happens. And that's almost a perfect segue into the next running back is Chris Carson.
You know, you can't deny the numbers. You want to take pro or con?
I will take pro on Chris Carson. Actually, no. Like, I did pro last time. I'll do a con.
All right, pro is just, you can't deny his production, and it's there. He won the job. Not a sexy pick, not a sexy name, but it's just the production is there somehow. I would have thought Rashad Penny was going to take that job. He hasn't, and he's not going to. I don't think anyone is going to take the ball away from him. So the passing game is working. So, you can't stack the box because you got DK friggin' Metcalf, who's just dangerous. So, I mean, he's just going to have the production, and it's as simple as that.
Yeah. And
not sexy, but the numbers are just there, and they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that runs so hard all the time. And he won that job because he just won't quit. He won't go down. And he is just he's a beast when he has the ball. And he's one of those guys that they changed their offensive line mainly because of Russell Wilson. It's like, all right, Russell Wilson, we're going to be a run-first team, but then you're going to go play street ball. And the offensive tackles suck. You're not going to have a perfect pocket because we're just going to get a whole bunch of big, like, plugging guards to block for Chris Carson and whoever else, and Rashad Penny or whoever else we put back there. And that's how they've succeeded as a running football team. When you think that Russell Wilson is, they're going to be a pass-happy team, they're not. They're a running team that happens to have a quarterback who can, throw the ball down the field. The one thing that I will say against the biggest con for Chris Carson is Carlos Hyde. And they picked up Hyde on a small contract, and he's been a guy now that's been playing with a chip on his shoulder for the last 3 years. And everywhere he's gone, he's performed. When Kansas City, he performed. He went to Houston, he performed, and now he's going to be in Seattle playing against his former team who drafted him, the 49ers, who just let him go like a sack of nickels, and he's going to have something to prove. And the one thing that Chris Carson doesn't do is stay healthy. So he's going to get nicked up. He's going to get banged up because he runs so hard, and it's going to give Carlos Hyde an opportunity to come in and take a lot of carries from him. So that's the only scary thing with Carson, is that he almost runs himself out of the lineup.
Well, I mean, Carlos Hyde, I don't know how old he is, but I feel like he's been around a while. I don't think he's going to. Well, but also we're going to get to the rookies in a hot minute, but having no preseason kind of makes it more difficult. To see who's got it, who doesn't. I'm not too worried about Carlos Hyde taking. Carlos will probably be the number 2 behind Carson. I can see that. No, I mean, I think Carson's still going to put up the same numbers. Very solid.
Yeah, I mean that's the hope. I mean he got me a couple wins. I think his rookie season. I drafted him. I think I got him off waivers because no one was talking about Chris Carson.
No, not a sexy pick, and it looked like Seattle's run game in general at that point. After Beast Mode left, they really never replaced him.
It went down the tank, and they were trying really hard to replace him. And I believe they got Rashard Penny and Chris Carson in the same draft, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh wow, Penny was a high draft pick.
He was a number 1 pick, for Seattle that year. So
probably was.
All right, so let's talk about some Melvin Gordon.
I am so high on not only Melvin Gordon, but this Broncos offense. I think should be just phenomenal. Drew Lock was finally able to get on the field. I wanted Drew Lock for the Giants. I thought he was the best quarterback in that draft.
He might still be.
I hope it's Daniel Jones, but no, he's got everything. He's got the swagger, which I like, but no, the fundamentals, the throwing motion, everything. He's mobile enough. He's got the friggin' weapons. That team has so many ones. You got Jerry Jeudy now on top of 6'5" Cortland Sutton. The friggin' Noah Fant, the tight end, is the next Gronk. Offensive line is not the best in the NFL. It's good enough. Could be better. I know your con is going to be Philip Lindsay. Philip Lindsay is going to take. They're going to complement each other, but Melvin Gordon is going to be the bell cow. He's going to get 20 carries a freaking game. I just know it. And you no way you stack in the box on those Denver wide receivers and their tight end who can get downfield just as fast. So I mean, I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, you're damn right. My con is going to be Philip Lindsay. I'm a Philip Lindsay man through and through. And the one thing with Lindsay is he undrafted. He's always had to play with a chip on his shoulder. He's always been the forgotten man in Denver. They've always tried to replace him with someone better. Royce Freeman was supposed to be the guy. He's not. And now it's going to be Melvin Gordon, who's supposed to be the man. And he already lost his job to a guy that plays a lot like Philip Lindsay. So I think Lindsay complements this team more. I think this team wants to be explosive. I think they want to pass the football and be explosive. And I think Lindsay is a guy who is been in that system for longer. And he's got that slippery he's got those slippery moves that allows him to move in between the tackles, and he has a big heart, and he can just run past people and hide behind a offensive line that's not that good. But you got Melvin Gordon, who's more of a plogger, and he's not going to have a lot of room to run if they're trying to run the football.
I really wish there was a preseason just so I could get a look at what they plan on doing. If I was running their offense, Lindsay would be more of the gimmick. Because he's literally, I think he's 5'8", 5'9", something like that.
Yep.
Which I like those kind of running backs because speed will kill you. Like Tariq Cohen's one of my favorite players. Clyde Edwards is about that size, and he'll kill you with his speed. I still think that Melvin Gordon is going to get 20 carries a game, 100 yards a game, and a touchdown or two. Like he's going to be that on the goal line. It's going to Melvin Gordon, and he'll pound it in.
Yeah, I mean,
No way.
it's definitely a possibility. I wish there was a preseason too, because we're going to get into some notables, but I really want to get into these rookies too. Got a little bit further to go, but let's get into the other notable running backs. Leonard Fournette is actually way down on this list as far as the rankings are concerned.
He is. I think the biggest reason is because everyone knows that the Jaguars are kind of tanking for Trevor Lawrence. Um, is Leonard Fournette going to want to sacrifice his body for a team that's tanking? Most running backs don't.
Yep.
And he's had injuries, some serious injuries throughout his career. He's shown shades of greatness. He's one of those players who will have a game pushing 200 yards somehow. It just came out from out of nowhere. I'll take Khan because I just think that the Jags are in tank mode, and he's not going to want to put his life on the line and his body on the line, his future on the line for a team that's tanking. No one does.
Yeah. And as far as the pro is concerned, he's in the exact same situation that Le'Veon Bell is in. He's like pretty much their only weapon, and
Yes.
it's weird because you got Gardner Minshew, who everyone loves him as a personality. Everyone's still questionable on how good of a quarterback he is, but the one thing, he has DJ Chark on the outside. He does have weapons that he can utilize. Their offense isn't as bad as it looks, and Gardner Minshew with the weapons that he has and the offense that they run, they're going to open it up enough to where Le'Veon, Leonard Fournette can get some carries. He's going to get some room. He's going to get safeties out the box because he has players that can stretch the defense, and they're going to be. It's not going to face them in 8-9-man boxes because A, they're probably going to be losing most games, and B, you have someone that can stretch the field, so you can get 8-9 yards because no one's expecting a run. You're going to get a chance to run the football in some garbage time. You probably won't get a lot of touchdowns out of him, but you might get a couple explosive games. You'll get a couple explosive carries. He's still really athletic, especially for a big man. He could get you, if you have him as a running back too, or even a flex, he could get you something.
Yeah, I don't like him on this team. That's what it comes down to. It's a shame. But
Another running back, probably the running back that fell most from grace, is Todd Gurley. And Todd Gurley is one of those guys that, first of all, he's home now. Like, he's in Atlanta, he's home. A lot of players, Robert Woods, for instance, he was in Buffalo. They sucked. He wasn't happy. He came to LA, and all of a sudden he's now basically a top 10, 15 receiver all the time. Todd Gurley, he was the top running back for 2 years, for the longest time with the Rams, and he got hurt. You don't know how much he fell from grace with the coaching staff. The Rams keep everything close to the vest, but you knew he was playing hurt. You don't know how much of it was politics and how much of it was him being actually hurt, but you do know there's something wrong with his knee. The thing is how much is actually wrong with his knee, and how much will the Falcons, who still have an explosive offense, utilize him, even if it's in a reduced role. Like, he could still be a heavy contributor to a team that really needs a running back.
Okay, this goes back to the Super Bowl. The fact that he was not getting the ball in the Super Bowl means he was hurt, and it wasn't politics. He has arthritis in his knees, so that doesn't go away. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but that's what scared me away from him last year, and that's what's going to scare me away from him this year. It just comes down to that. I think he'll play, and then I think there are weeks where he's not going to be able to play.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely one of those guys that might have to sit out some games or be have a very limited role. And arthritis, you're right, it doesn't go away. But Jadeveon Clowney also has issues with his knees. I think he has the same thing. He has a torn meniscus that gave him arthritis.
You know what Jadeveon Clowney does not have? A contract.
Touche. You're absolutely right with that. So, and he was supposed to be the biggest freak in NFL, and now he's he's playing basically contract to contract for probably mid-tier money when he was supposed to be the best player in NFL history, especially when he was coming from South Carolina. Everyone thought he was the next Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
All right, so another running back who is far down this list, and it doesn't have really anything to do with him, but just the team, is Raheem Mostert.
Okay, if I were the coach of the 49ers, Raheem Mostert is my number one running back, especially with Breda gone. Um, he's just a legitimate track star on a team that's built to run the ball. Give it to a very fast running back. That's him.
Yeah.
I mean, Tevin Coleman is worth having. I don't. I just it comes down to the the coach. There's such a committee there, and Jeff Wilson is fantastic, and it might be a star soon.
Yeah, and Jerick McKinnon is finally coming back, so we'll see what happens.
I mean, there's a lot of depth there. I mean, I think he's a fantastic player. It's just it comes down to the committee and how many times is he going to touch the ball.
Another thing is he's another one of those contract holdout guys. He requested a trade, and allegedly they work things out, but they're still you don't know exactly what's going to happen. And you're right. He is their number one. He's their number one running back. If he enters the season as not their number one running back, it makes no sense. But Tevin Coleman is getting paid $5 million a year. He's getting paid less than $2.3 million. So
yeah, because the problem with Mostert is when he signed his contract, he signed as special teams.
He did.
Because
Yeah.
they had signed McKinnon, and him and Coleman was supposed to be the 1-2 punch. So yeah, Mostert, the track star, signed to play special teams. Then the position became available at running back, and he's amazing at running back. So he just wants to be paid like a running back.
Right. And
I think they'll work that out. What will be difficult to work out is how you're going to share that ball with the other running backs. That's the only question.
Right. And is he going to be able to hold up? He was another one of those guys that came on late in the season because they had a running back by committee, and Coleman got beat up. Breida got beat up. McKinnon basically, I mean, he's been injured for 2 years now. They had no choice but McKinnon. During the one game of the playoffs, I believe it was against the Packers, Tevin Coleman got hurt, and Breida, they literally did not trust him enough to put him in the game. It was all Mostert, because he's the only one that Kyle Shanahan had trusted. And that's the thing, is like you have to put in the guys that you trust, and it's one of those things where now they can game plan. Now they can try to figure out what's going to happen with this team, because you have a full season. You know who your running backs are going to be, at least to start the season. Maybe they go back to that committee and they have played for different players, but like Mostert is your guy, and but like Shanahan has shown that he can literally turn like a paperweight into a star running back. So
I think, speaking of Shanahan and his 2 Super Bowl appearances, he has to constantly remind himself, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. So, I mean, they are going to run the ball. Best running team in the NFL. And now you have Brandon Ayuk, who's, Jesus, he is so fast. Once he gets the ball in his hands, I think they're going to do end arounds to him. They were doing end arounds to Debo. Hopefully he comes back from his injury before the start of the season. You got big Jawan Jennings, big, fast George Kittle. Like, this is a dangerous team. There's going to be opportunities for everyone on that offense to feed.
Well, they're not getting no yards no more because of Jamal Adams. So
it's going to be, that NFC West is going to be very fun to watch. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right, so now let's talk about Kerryon Johnson, who is one of the forgotten men in the NFL for some reason.
You might as well forget about him now.
Oh, wow. I guess you're taking a con.
Well, because he had the injury. I loved him coming out of college. Dealt with injuries. That sucks. I think they still have Amir Abdullah, but he's not a factor.
Nah, he's gone. He plays for the Vikings.
It sucks. Bo Scarborough is a legitimate like number 2 kind of power back. They drafted DeAndre Swift, who is probably the best running back in this draft. DeAndre Swift is going to earn that job. the starting job very quick, very swiftly, if you will. It's going to be DeAndre Swift's team very soon. So that's why I'm not interested in Kerryon Johnson.
I will take the pro on this, and Kerryon is definitely a forgotten man. You get one injury, and then all of a sudden, everyone forgets about you. The thing is that he still worked his way up. I mean, he was drafted sort of kind of early, but nowhere near as early as those top running backs when he got drafted. And he was one of the top performers early on, like his rookie season, and he kind of kept that going. And he was really good up until he got injured last year. And the Lions, I mean, like on top of just a regular dumpster fire that they are, they were really, really banged up. I mean, obviously Matt Stafford was injured. Kerryon got hurt. Like they had literally nothing to work with, and they were like they picked up Bo Scarvo off of somebody's practice squad, so they literally had nothing, and they still did really good. The thing is, Kerryon Johnson has now been in this offense for this is going into his third season, and you're going into a season where there's no preseason. The rookies are going to have to get acclimated on the fly, and this is going to benefit players that are already in the system. So at least early in the season, I think Kerryon Johnson is going to be that running back that's going to get a bulk of the carries, and if he performs well, they're not going to shy away from him.
I mean, their offensive line is pretty good. Again, this is where not having a preseason really sucks because I think DeAndre Swift is so friggin' dynamic. Problem is, I say that Georgia had an amazing offensive line. They really
one of the best.
They were amazing at blocking for the run. They have their center. I think it's Trey Hill. I want him so badly, but he's going to be an early first round pick, I think, next season.
So what you're saying, the Giants might be able to get him?
Maybe, probably. Yeah. I say that every year, like, oh, too bad the Giants are never going to be able to draft that high. No, I love DeAndre Swift.
Yeah,
I think early in the year it's going to be Kerryon. I'm not going to use an early pick on Kerryon Johnson because I think it's going to be DeAndre Swift's. He's going to get the ball by week 4 or 5. They're going to start really saying that this is the kid who's going to carry the ball for us.
All right.
He's dynamic.
Well, speaking of rookie running backs, let's shift to rookies. So we talked about DeAndre Swift. We're going to get into him later, but let's talk about everyone's favorite running back that we've been referencing all chat. Is
Kansas City stole. There's no scenario on earth where Kansas City should have been able to draft this young man.
Yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which
for a team that is just built on speed, they somehow got the fastest running back available. They weren't hurting at running back because it's just, again, their scheme. It benefits the running game so much. It's almost like they could put anyone back there and they're going to do well. And now you have kind of a dynamic running back who's so fast for defenses that have to do with Tyreek Hill. And
Travis Kelce.
Well, then you're sleeping on all the other, like, as if Sammy Watkins wasn't fast. No, it's just that Tyreek Hill is the fastest man alive. And now you have such a fast running back and a dynamic quarterback that you cannot contain. Geez, I mean, he's just going to feast. I thought Tampa should have jumped on Clyde Edwards for Brady, just because Brady loves his dink and dunks.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. When it's one of those things when you're the best and you have everything you want. It's like, what do you give yourself if you're rich as a Christmas present?
Yeah.
And it's like, you got everything you want, you got everything you need. Oh, I guess I'll just get myself something else that, I have no business buying, but, why not? I can because I'm rich. And that's exactly what the Chiefs did. And I guess I'm going con here, and I have to find out what a con could be other than this is very hard.
They're so good at throwing the ball that they don't have to hand it off. Or
right.
He's so good at throwing it, 70 yards that he doesn't have to dink and dunk it 5 yards.
I would say the one con is that he's a rookie, and this is a very hard season to have a rookie year, and come in and be expected to be the man as a running back for the Super Bowl winning team with X. Like they're thinking dynasty already, and you already have a running back who performed very well in Damian Williams. It's almost like it's broke, don't fix it. Like obviously he's going to be a compliment, but like Damian Williams already knows the system. He's already been there. Uh, he knows the blocking assignments better. Like Edwards-Helaire is at some point this is going to be his job. It's just a question of when, and that's the only con for him is when going to happen. Is it going to be week 1? Is it going to be week 5? Is it going to be week 8? I don't think it's getting past week 8, but that's the thing is you don't know when that's going to happen, and even when that win does happen, they have so many weapons where he could just be a fire and ice kind of guy. He could be like he'll get 5 points because they didn't need him too much, or he can get 20 points because Patrick Mahomes was just utilizing them and they had such a big lead. It's like just give Helaire the ball and like let him go. Right. Probably, in my opinion, the best running back of this entire draft class, Jonathan Taylor.
Not only the best running back, the best situation for a running back, even better than Kansas City, because you could literally put anyone on the Colts. And this was my secret weapon these past couple of years is whoever the Colts running back is, I grab him. And they're so good at blocking for the run. It's just anyone and everyone feasts there running the ball because of that offensive line. Jonathan Taylor is like he should have – I'm sure he did a backflip when the Colts called his name because he put up amazing numbers at Wisconsin with a good offensive line, it's not Georgia's offensive line. But the guy broke records. The guy carried the ball 300 times a year for 3 years. It's insane. So I think this is his reward for putting in all that work. Now I think his work is cut out for him.
It is, and the funny thing is that when he was at Wisconsin, they had an okay passing game. They had an okay quarterback. They had okay receivers, but it was Jonathan Taylor's team, and everyone knew you had to stop him. They were in the Big Ten, and all those boys hit hard there. They're all about. They're probably the last conference that's really all about defense. Like even the SEC, they don't care about defense as much anymore. The Big 12 definitely doesn't. Pac-12 definitely doesn't. The only real division that still cares about like stout, good, capable defense is the Big Ten, and he still thrived. He still set records for what he did. And you saw his combine; he put up the biggest numbers since Saquon. I mean, it's not that long ago, but he put up Saquon numbers, and Saquon's numbers were absolutely off the charts. So the one thing I will say that is hurting him again is he's a rookie going into a season where they had a good running back. Marlon Mack is a good.
I disagree. I think Marlon Mack was a product of the Colts offensive line.
He is, and that's the thing. At some point, the same thing with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. At some point, he's taking over. At some point, that's going to be his team, but when? And I think that the Colts are one of those teams where I think Helaire is a little bit better suited because he's more of a well-rounded running back than JT is.
Everyone knows JT. Like everyone's like, oh yeah, he's not good at catching the ball. Really didn't have to. He specifically worked on that in this past college season, and he did a serviceable job catching the ball. He can catch a ball. I can catch a ball. He's a football player. He can catch the ball.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like the thing is that I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be the check down monster. He's going to be what Le'Veon Bell was for the Steelers. Like you didn't like Le'Veon Bell got a bunch of touches in the passing game, not because he was running crazy routes like anyone for the Chiefs were, or Alvin Kamara or Christian McCaffrey does. He was a check down monster. It's like you have Antonio Brown and you have whoever was lining up opposite Antonio Brown was going down the field. And then if they weren't open, check down. And that was Le'Veon all day. And he was that kind of guy. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to be very similar to that. Marlon Mack is also not one of those guys that catches the ball out the backfield. They got Naheem Hines for that. So it's just how quickly can he get acclimated into playing in the NFL. Because like Jonathan Taylor could be one of those guys that late in the season he's going to win you a championship.
No, yeah, like we talked about Derrick Henry just
Right.
becoming. It gets to a point where it's like, oh my God, we got a problem here trying to stop this guy. And he's durable. Can't say he's not durable, but I think they should make a rule in college, the Jonathan Taylor rule, where you cannot let a kid carry the ball that many times in the season. That's just not fair to him. But he's durable.
I think that I don't understand how that was the biggest detriment to him coming into the season is that he has so many carries. He has so much
miles. Yeah.
And that was a big reason that Josh Jacobs got drafted so early because he had almost 0 miles on him. He was a third string running back when he came out, but and he was like everyone knew he was their best running back, but like they had so many running backs that he never carried the ball. Jonathan Taylor, he's been their best player for like he's been playing since 2007, right?
It was a solid 3 years where he was carrying the ball 300 times per year.
Yeah,
so he's played like 10 years worth of football in 3 years.
Exactly. And like that, it is absolutely sucks that that's a detriment because you're that good that you have to carry your team. And now that's a bad thing. That's almost like if you stay in college for 4 years as a basketball player, now your draft grade goes all the way down. It's like you're going to punish me for I don't want to say doing the right thing, but I wanted to stay in college. I wanted to improve my game. So where I got to the pros, I was more pro ready. Like Jonathan Taylor is probably the most pro-ready of these running backs because he's done so much for a team and he knows how to carry a team on his back. And
agreed.
And now you actually get him to where you have one of the best offensive lines in football, and you give him Phillip Rivers with decent weapons. So you have a quarterback that will let you know, hey, like this is the play that you're going to get the ball because I can read the offense and I can tell you how we're going to run things. So
I tell you, I would love to be Phillip Rivers' teammate because he's very matter of fact. He has no chill in him. Like he's got a mouth on him.
But like that mouth is not going to cuss at you either. Like you're going to get the cleanest smack talk you're ever going to hear.
But Phillip Rivers loves football. I famously wanted Phillip Rivers for the Giants. I'm not complaining.
But you got two. Yeah, y'all about to say you got 2 championships out of that.
I'm a champion.
All right, Cam Akers.
Yeah. Of all these rookies, I think Clyde Edwards is a question mark as far as when he's going to get that ball. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to get the ball very soon. I think Cam Akers is going to get the ball very soon. Because I don't think they have really. What are their options?
Their options are Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown and John Kelly.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
There. I thought Malcolm Brown. I thought they were or Henderson. I thought Henderson was going to do things out of Memphis. He was great at Memphis in college. It just didn't. It hasn't. Didn't last year. I don't think it will this year. Cam Akers is pretty damn good. I think he could be potentially a 20-carry running back.
Cam Akers, and I'm not just saying this because they both went to Florida State, but Cam Akers really, really reminds me of Dalvin Cook. And the thing is the Rams offense, I don't know if you've ever heard Sean McVay speak. I don't know if you've ever seen their team play, but that has to be the most complicated offense I've ever seen in my life. And like just with the stuff they got going on, the motions and everything like that, the only thing, and I think this is why Darrell Henderson had issues getting into a lineup and knowing what to do is there was so much going on that he didn't know what to do. Like he didn't know where to go. He didn't know how to function. And there's like, we'll put in Malcolm Brown because at least he knows where to line up and where to go. He's obviously not the number one option. He's not going to be a person we have running this team. It's like once Gurley got injured. Cam Akers, he's going to be good, but is he going to be able to pick up this offense fast enough? I'm not saying that he won't be able to pick it up because he just can't pick up the offense, but the Rams got a lot of complicated things going on. And but Akers has probably the best opportunity because they don't have a running back number one. At least these other teams that we talked about, Damian Williams for the Chiefs, you got Kerryon Johnson, you have Marlon Mack. These are guys that are number one running backs, even if it's just barely.
Where it's not really broke. Like you're doing
Right.
fine at running back. The Rams are desperate for a running back.
Right. And Cam Akers is underrated. He is probably the most underrated player coming out of college that I've seen. He's gonna do big things. All right, and let's talk about J.K. Dobbins.
A lot of people had him as the best running back coming out in the draft. He went to a team that did not need a running back by any stretch of the imagination, the Baltimore Ravens.
Yep.
Mark Ingram is doing fantastic. I mean, Mark Ingram's got some miles on him. It's still Mark Ingram's team. He's still going to get the bulk of the carries. This is a situation where this year probably won't be J.K. Dobbins' year. Next year, he could be the man there because, I mean, obviously he has the talent. It's a team built to run the ball. You have Lamar running. They technically were the best running team in the NFL because of Lamar Jackson.
Uh-huh.
I mean, obviously, Mark Ingram feasted last year. I had him on my fantasy team. It was fantastic. I mean, Gus Edwards got some carries and he got some points. I don't think Gus Edwards is a threat to take anyone's job.
Yeah, they even had like Justice Hill was a guy that I was really big on last year.
Yeah, it was more a matter of how many touches are Justice Hill and Gus Edwards going to get. It wasn't that many. JK, I think, will get after Mark Ingram. I think it's going to be JK Dobbins. The other thing we didn't mention when it comes to these rookies and learning the system for their teams is there's really no training camp yet. It's very difficult. It's going to be difficult for rookies in general.
Well, a lot of the rookies are reporting right now, so they have an opportunity to at least get in early. They reported for the most part on time, so at least there's that. But you're going to be playing against nothing but your teammates up until the season starts, so that's going to be hard. And it's a lot different when you have someone that's trying to literally like take your head off, as opposed to a teammate who you're going to get training camp scuffles and stuff like that, but your teammates aren't supposed to be trying to like take you down by any means necessary. And you're going to get that week one. So, and it benefits veterans that know what to expect.
It's a very good strategy to keep in mind drafting this year when you're looking at rookies.
Right. And as thing, like if you draft a rookie, don't draft them early because, or at least don't expect them to be good early. Like it would benefit if you draft a rookie. You should think about taking one of those players that are sliding that are going to start the season and then lose out to a rookie. So Damian Williams, I don't want to get a sidetrack, but Damian Williams would be a good draft pick for someone who wants to start the season early, get some leads, and then you segue into a Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Damian Williams very easily could have been the Super Bowl MVP. If he was named Super Bowl MVP, no one would have thought twice about it. Like, he deserved it.
It should have been Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Because he saved that game. I'm just saying.
Let's not get sidetracked.
All right. So we talked about Dobbins. Let's talk about DeAndre Swift, who we mentioned before.
But it's another situation where, like you said, people, they have their job, and especially this crazy virus-infested year where training camp is affected, the preseason games are not happening. You kind of have to stick with your veteran to start out the season, and as it progresses, then you integrate your rookies like DeAndre Swift, who's got so much upside. I think he's dynamic, fast as hell. Now you got me second guessing myself just because Georgia's offensive line, seriously. I mean, thank God the Giants got Andrew Thomas, but their guards are fantastic and their center is fantastic. Like, they are just so good at blocking for the run, and that's why so many great running backs come out of Georgia. I mean, I guess it's Carry-On's job to lose. I mean, he's going to lose it eventually. It's a matter of when.
Right. And the problem is that Carry-On is the hardest one for me when it comes to losing a job, because he's still a young running back with a huge chip on his shoulder, And now, not to bring in the whole college rivalry when it comes to the pros, but you got an Auburn running back going against a Georgia running back, trying to get the most snaps.
Yeah.
And Carry On, he's not bad, and he knows the offense. And we don't know, like, is DeAndre Swift, is he going to be Nick Chubb, or is he going to be Sony Michel? Like, that's the thing. Like, you don't know. Like you said, the Georgia offensive line was really good. They had a decent quarterback in Jake Fromm, who we're not going to really mention anymore because of him. But they had a really good committee there, like, for a long time, and DeAndre Swift was kind of the last one to leave out of that three-headed monster that they had. And we've already seen what happened with Sony Michel and Nick Chubb, and who is the one who is the best fit for the NFL. And we don't know if DeAndre Swift is going to be good on a bad Detroit Lions team.
Well, that's the other thing. That is the other thing. It's Detroit is not very good.
Right.
And I think Matthew Stafford should get out of there because I think he deserves better than that team.
Like, that's every single star that's ever played for Detroit. You can say that.
Yeah.
Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, poor guys.
Yeah.
All right. The last player we're going to talk about is someone you feel very highly about.
My number one running back before the last season started, before the college. Keyshawn Vaughn. I was just so high on him at running back. He went higher in the draft than I thought he would because I thought people were sleeping on him. But he is so good. He is such a good fit for Tampa. Such a good fit. First of all, they need a running back. Like, he could legitimately start week one. He's that good. He's so fast. He is great catching the ball out of the backfield. He's just what Tom Brady likes. I think it's just a perfect match, him on that team. Ronald Jones is still there. I thought Ronald Jones was great at USC. It just hasn't lived up to it. Could be because Tampa, he just didn't click. This is a whole new Tampa offense. I think Keyshawn, he fits so well with Tom Brady and the rest of those weapons there.
Like, that's the thing. So obviously Brady loves, like, and you said this before multiple times. Brady loves his checkdowns. He loves his checkdowns. He loves his short passes. I feel like Brady should have given at least 5% of his paycheck to what's the running back he loved for the Patriots? Check down monster.
James White.
Yeah, James White. How did I forget James White? He lived and died with him and Burkhead. I'm gonna check down all the time to these guys, and you just send Burkhead up the seam, just toss a golf ball to him, and it's just gonna land in his belly button. That's like Brady loves utilizing his running backs. The only thing with Keyshawn Vaughn that I don't want to say scares me, but the con against Keyshawn Vaughn is he's a rookie. He's a rookie with a very capable person. I think Ronald Jones got a lot better, especially the last half of the season, and he's just going to get better and better. And Robert Jones is younger than Keyshawn Vaughn, so.
Well, that's what's good about Keyshawn Vaughn is he's a rookie, but he's not young.
No, he's not.
He's like 23 years old.
Yeah. He definitely he's definitely seasoned, and he'll be good enough to come in and play right away. But again, rookie in a system and Bruce Arians' system is not very easy to learn and figure out. And you have a running back in Ronald Jones that has figured out how to work within the Bruce Arians system. And
has he though? Has he?
Well, I mean,
I just didn't see it.
He's been there, and he started to strive in it before the end of last season. And this is the thing, that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers weren't a bad team. Jameis Winston wasn't a bad quarterback. It was just, he needed seasoning. And he's been in the league for 4 or 5 years, but he just needed more seasoning. And Brady comes in, and he's a well done turkey. And he already knows he knows what to do. He knows how to get rid of the ball. He knows how to not make mistakes, and he knows how to check down. The thing is Keyshawn Vaughn has to figure out Bruce Arians' system and what he wants from his running back, whereas Ronald Jones knows what he can and cannot do. And one thing he is really good at is running the football up and down the field. And I think that's going to be very hard for Keyshawn Vaughn to come in and take that away from him, because Ronald Jones is really good at running the ball up and down the field, at least late in the season. Like, he showed that. He showed promise.
Well, I'm drafting Keyshawn Vaughn at some point.
All right.
I want him because I just feel like I have this feeling that he's just going to put up incredible numbers. He's going to feast with Brady.
All right. So there we go. That's our fantasy rundown. Thank you for joining after reviewing the play. We hope to be putting out more content and stuff as we're just sitting at home, just like most of you are. Click on the links here to watch more videos. Click on the link here to subscribe. I hope I'm pointing in the right direction. See you guys later.